What's going on, guys? It's Arrow. Welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about the 0.2.1 patch that's coming next week. Late last night, we got a manifesto sort of list of notes from Grinding Gear Games, and they have been hard at work. I know a lot of people get frustrated when they see positive videos about Path of Exile 2, but the reality is, since the awful 0.2 patch, they have released banger after banger. 0.2.1 is no exception. It is going to be the biggest patch since 0.2, hence the 0.2.1 moniker. And this one contains some great stuff. I'm really excited about it. And I know it's not going to bring a lot of people back for 0.2, but I do think it's going to completely change the game for how people play 0.3. So whether you're a hater or a glazer, let's dive in. So the first thing they talk about is endgame rewards. They say when setting up the frequency of encounters and rewards for PoE2, we have to decide how many maps players will have to do in order to get them. After extensive playtesting, which is what we were all doing for them, we now believe that we overshot this number pretty substantially. In the G patch, they improved the baseline experience of getting rewards, but we don't feel like we did enough of those spike moments. And there are very cool items, but you don't find them because they are incredibly rare. So one of the major focuses of 0.2.1 is making chase items more common. We're talking about things like headhunters, maybe boss uniques. One of the biggest problems with PoE2 is chasing those endgame items that you just feel like you can never get your hands on, and now they're going to be more common, which means you are either going to be able to find them yourself or be able to afford them. So let's jump in here to unique items. In 0.2.1, we're going to be significantly improving both the drop rates of the incredibly rare unique items, as well as adding a bunch of new and exciting chase uniques. This is very exciting. We have no idea what these are going to be, but they're going to do a post next week that show a bunch of the uniques. On top of that, we are also buffing some of the rarer uniques that were intended to be chase. So some of these items, I'm not sure which items they're referring to, but items that they wanted to be rare and powerful didn't really hit the mark. So they're going to buff those items. So your build may be getting a buff unknowingly, but either way, we're going to have lots of new chase items to chase, and they're going to be more accessible than ever. Another huge problem people have with PoE2 is the lack of a crafting bench a la PoE1. They are doing more to solve that problem here in the crafting socketable section. One of the issues that we have with the socketable crafting system at the moment is that by the time you get to the end game, there isn't really anything new or exciting to find. And that is absolutely true. Resistant attributes are great to help solve early problems, but in the end game, you should be swapping all of these out for more interesting and powerful mods. In 0.2.1, they're going to be adding 22 new runes, 14 soul cores, and 7 talismans. This is massive. And I guess this solves the question of, is it talismans or talismen? These cover a full spectrum from being powerful to insane, but are rare to find. So something more to chase and new powerful ways to augment your build with a crafting bench-like system in crafting socketables. This is very exciting for me. I find the current socketable system to be satisfactory, but not good. Adding lots of new options for the endgame is going to be really nice. It feels like right now, I just use iron runes in all of my armors with the rare exception here and there. And then weapons get either local damage or crit multi or attack speed. They're not very exciting. They feel like they're just kind of turning up the item a little bit. So hopefully these new items that they're adding with the new patch next week are going to be build enabling potentially, or at least build ramping. Another huge problem that people have with current Path of Exile is the lack of a crafting system. Now, there is a crafting system in the game, and it is incredibly powerful. It is used to make some of the most insane items that you've ever seen in PoE2, and it is omen crafting. The problem with omens, however, is that they are so prohibitively expensive that no one gets to use them except for the people that are crafting mirror tier item, or so it feels like. It's currently around 1,300 exalts to buy an omen of whittling, which is so absurd considering all it does is basically give you one chaos orb roll on the lowest mod. So hopefully things like that will be more accessible. And then the targeted exalts and annuls, hopefully those get buffed as well. We're going to be seeing a lot more of these rare omens and rituals. So very exciting. Corrupted essences are getting buffed. We're going to see a lot more of the corrupted essences when you use a Vol Orb on an essence by apparently 6 times. Rogue Exiles feel incredibly underwhelming at the moment. I spec'd into them for about a week and then I stopped using them because I basically got nothing. So it says Rogue Exiles didn't have enough uniques. So we are increasing the frequency that Rogue Exiles have and then drop unique items by 3 times. Is that enough? I'm not sure, but it will certainly be noticeable. It looks like you're going to get a lot more loot from the Twisted Domain, which is the number of monsters that you kill on the way to Zesht. I found that loot to be okay, but not amazing. But now it looks like these breach stones might be worth running just to kill the breach mobs on the way. Zesh doesn't have a lot of expensive drops right now, so this really should help boost the power of these breaches. As you see here, we got a massive change to logbooks. I love Expedition in PoE2. It's very fun and it is very rewarding. However, logbooks themselves aren't super exciting to run. And what most people in the endgame do is they open them, they look for a boss, and if the boss isn't there, they start the next one. I think that's terrible for the game. So what they're doing is they're trying to make them worth running. The Lush Isle is getting more of those side areas that drop a ton of currency. The Frigid Bluffs area is getting lots more monsters, including some bosses. We can assume these bosses are going to drop some items. And then the Barren Atoll logbook is going to drop a lot more gold and give you a ton of strong boxes. Now, I know a lot of people meme on gold, but the truth is when you find that unique strong box, you got to have a couple million gold to spend on it. Then on top of that, you can do some gambling and things. So gold is not entirely worthless. It looks like the Barren Atoll logbook is going to be the best place to find some of these new chase runes. So definitely going to be looking out for those. Another huge problem that people have with PoE2 right now is the lack of fun maps to do. It turns out we were running the same map over and over again. They said right now, did you know that if you were to generate 400,000 maps, that 150,000 of them would be hidden grotto? That is not good. I did notice that it was incredibly common and I don't really like that map. So normalizing the maps that you find, hopefully more things like Sandspit and Crypt and some of the more fun maps, normalizing the maps that you run is going to feel a lot better. They also adjusted citadels so that whenever you spawn a citadel on the Atlas, the other two that you need to run the Arbiter spawn nearby. This is great news because it's possible that you just run into the same ones over and over again, but it also means you're going to be able to target citadels that when you find one, you can just explore all around that one and find the rest. I think we're going to be running a lot more Arbiters than before. A huge improvement is this right here. Two of the ritual types that were just a ruckus of purple chaos explosions. So they're now going to be turning down the volatile plants. Between these two modifiers, they were responsible for half of all player deaths in the endgame, which is so ridiculous. This explains why I'm running CI on almost every character. It's simply too dangerous to run up against those purple explosions, no matter how much HP you have. You're also rebalancing some of the dangerous map modifiers, so it's going to make it easier to do maps, which is great. Looks like there were some small changes to the Trial of the Sekimas. And then we have some huge quality of life changes. So, number one, searching the passive tree. This is one of my biggest complaints. Anytime I'm trying to find something, I zoom out and I stare at the tree for 45 seconds until I can find it. Now what it's going to do is you can press enter to automatically find and go to the passive that you've typed in. And if there are multiple passives found in your search, then continuing to press enter will cycle you through them. On top of that, it darkens the passive tree and highlights them even brighter so you can really easily find the ones you're looking for. This is a massive quality of life change. I've been begging for this. Speaking of things that we've been begging for, they are reverting the change where tier 1 mods are the lowest back to tier 1 being the best. The reason this was a problem is that you'd look at an item and it would have, say, tier 6 life on it. And you'd think to yourself, well, tier 6 life, what the hell does that mean? And the answer is, unless you went to a third-party website, you couldn't find out. So now, tier 1 is going to be the best again, so you can always see how far away a modifier is from being the best version. The difference between a tier 3 and a tier 1 modifier on a good item is massive. So now we'll always know what the best is. Thank you, Grinding Gear Games. This is a huge change. I know you didn't want to do this, but we appreciate it. So I'm going to wrap it up there. These are major, major changes. I'm super excited for this patch. When you combine this with 0.2H and 0.2G, Grinding Gear Games has really pushed Path of Exile 2 to a more exciting place. I know there are lots of things that a lot of people are still asking for. They want more move speed. So do I. They want smaller maps. So do I. But every patch is a step in the right direction, and I mean a big step. This may not bring you back to 0.2, but I look forward to seeing you in 0.3 whenever that gets released. At least we will have 326 on the horizon to play until then. So I appreciate you all watching. Make sure you stop by my Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. I'm live just about every single day, and I'll be live right after this video. Thank you for watching. And as always, take care.